Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. It is Saturday. Welcome to the Trifecta of Transformation show. This is episode 2. My name is Nathan Agpan. I happen to have the privilege of being the, the person who introduces people today. And before I introduce my co-host, and please, when you join us, please kindly comment, let us know where you're coming in from. Let us know who you are so we can shout you out. But we intend on having a good time here, but also sharing some insights with you. We've prepared a wonderful show with 3 segments to share our thoughts and spend some time with you on the Saturday. It's not going to be super lengthy, but it's going to be fun. The Trifecta of Transformation show, we've designed it to, as a way of bringing 3 wonderful coaches together to pool our insight, to pool our energy, to pool our passion in order to benefit you. And that is what we're going to do today. And before we do that, I would love to introduce my fellow co-hosts, part of the Trifecta themselves. And we're going to start with Mr. Dan. And Dan, if you could kindly say hi and just very briefly tell us exactly what you do and where you're currently located, that'd be great, please.
I am Daniel Mangena, aka Dan, host of the Do It With Dan podcast, creator of the Beyond Intention paradigm, and I write books and I do talks and I teach people how to become aligned to very specific intentions so that they can start creating more abundant, joyful, purpose-driven lives.
Excellent. And where are you located, Dan?
I'm down in Cabo, Mexico.
That's awesome. Yeah, I envy this guy all the time. But we will come back to Dan. And thank you very much for that intro, Dan. And Queen Ayo, that's our nickname for her. Ayo.
Hello. Welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in live. I am Ayódele. I am a transformation specialist with a background in neurolinguistic programming, hypnotherapy, and many other magical tricks and techniques up my sleeve. Hope you enjoy the show. We're really looking forward to sharing our magic with you. And yeah, thank you for watching.
Excellent. So the show is designed with 3 specific segments. And the first segment is what we call the thought of the week. Yeah, it is the thought of the week. And the second segment is going to be a hot seat where we will have a guest or answer a specific question from a particular individual. This week, we actually do have a live guest who will join us and who will present their question or their scenario, and we will try to answer it live or try to coach this individual live for your benefit. And the last segment will be a discussion of a particular topic, which we will discuss between ourselves as also a way to exchange ideas, but also as a coaching moment for you who is watching. Are you guys ready? Coaches? All right, excellent. So our thought of the week this week is going to be shared by none other than Queen Ayo. And in her normal prepared fashion, she actually is going to share her screen with us. Are you ready, Ayo?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so your screen is live.
So my screen, so there we go.
Okay.
That is my thought of the week. And the reason why I decided to share this was because I see so much stuff on social media, and it just was the one thing when I was thinking about what I was going to bring to the table for this segment of the show. It was the one thing that just really stood out to me, that we do really have a choice about where we're going and how we're going to be moving through this time that we're occupying. And we may feel sometimes like our choices have been taken away, but I think it's really important to realize that we do have a choice about how we move through this time, what sort of choices we're making about how we move through that time, and where it is that we want to end up, not just as a result of coming through this experience that we're all going through, but in life in general. And I probably have seen an image like this before, but it's something that just really stood out to me. And I felt that it was something that, might be useful for people to think about. And I think visually, it just really engaged me and made me think about the choices that we have, the choices that we can make, the choices that we can start making, and start moving towards a more enlightened and evolved way of thinking and being and showing up in the world. So that's why it stood out for me. I don't know whether it has any resonance for either of you two, but that's the thought that kind of just really stood out for me, because you see so much stuff, and it was just the one thing that just kept coming back into my awareness about something that might be useful to get people thinking slightly differently about where we're headed and what sort of choices we can start making.
Right.
So.
Excellent. Thank you. That's a very powerful point, extremely powerful. And Dan, do you have, what do you got as far as relation to that thought of having a choice?
Well, I'm all about the choicing. My Beyond Intention model is all about empowering people to be able to make those choices. The thing that comes to mind is the objection that might fall into people's thing of, but it's hard and blah, blah, blah. And so all I would maybe add to that was something being difficult doesn't make it impossible. And even as you were saying earlier about the idea of growth moments, I would say that for my own life, when I've been able to look back at those points where I thought the choice was just too hard to make, and I have made that leap, they've been the most beautiful moments that have opened up for the most beautiful transformation, most beautiful growth and change. And so I'm coming to a place for me personally where I'm embracing these points where that point of change appears to be unsurmountable, appears to be great, appears to be more challenging. And I'm learning to fall in love with them. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Royal Highness.
Yes, Highness. That was an excellent thought. But you know, the beauty of it, like I said, is being able, you knew what you were going to talk about. We didn't know what we were going to talk about. And having that spontaneous response from us, I think is so powerful. Now, when you mentioned that, what came to my mind was a quote by Viktor Frankl, especially in this day and age of, you know, Corona and people feeling like they are without choice. Renata, thanks for being here. I'm going to highlight your comment here in a minute, but people feeling like they're without choice. And this thought came to me. I'm going to read it real quick. And Viktor Frankl was the guy who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, was the guy who was in the Nazi concentration camp. And that is one person that you probably would say had the least choice, right? Most people would. But here's what Victor said. Victor said, everything can be taken from a man or woman, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And then you had Rosa Parks, right, who they told her, hey, go sit down in the back of the bus. And she's like, nope. And in some cases, she said, I could be sitting down, but my spirit is certainly standing. How can you rebut that, you know? So what your point is so beautiful, Ayo. Thank you very much for sharing. And before we move on to the next part there, Renata, thank you here. And anybody who comments, if your comment is going to be beneficial to the general audience, we'll actually highlight it on the screen. But do not hesitate to comment if you have any great inputs to add, okay? So this is not just us talking at you. But before we move on to the next segment, which is going to be our hot seat. So Ayo's thought today was we have a choice. Do any of you guys have anything else to add to that idea before we go to the next
I just think it's wonderful what you just shared about Viktor Frankl. He's an incredibly inspirational human and gave so much to this concept of us having a choice, and with the experience that he went through. I just thought that it was really great that this particular image brought you to think about something from him. And so thank you for sharing that as well. And yeah, really, really great. Can you still see it on the screen?
Yes.
At the moment you can.
Yes. Yeah, I'll kill it as soon as we move on. Dan, you got anything?
No, I think it's been trifected there.
Excellent, excellent. All right. So in order to move this in very rapid fashion, now we've gotten to part 2, which is the hot seat. This segment of the Trifecta of Transformation show is specifically focused on a scenario. When we were trying to plan it, it was how can we offer value in a situation, because people learn through, metaphors. We see in pictures, and what better picture than an example than somebody else's story, right? It's kind of like being on a Maury show, but this is for growth. So we're Flori, you're definitely not one of those. We're not gonna say you are the father or the mother. We're good here. But this is that we have a live volunteer. We will present a live volunteer and someone who's got a question. Otherwise, we will present a question that may have been sent in live. I mean, anonymously through email or whatever. But we will try to always dissect a scenario. If you've got a problem with your business, if you've got a problem with your marriage, if you don't know what choice to make, if you want free coaching, this is the segment where you're going to get it. Okay. And what better situation than to get 3 people who live and breathe these ideas to perhaps help you in a mastermind in life. Okay. And so that's what we're going to do. Ayo, could you kindly introduce your guests to us, please?
So is Flori here with us?
Flori is here.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, this is awesome. So we introduced this topic or this segment of the show on Instagram, and I've been sharing it in my newsletters as well, and told people about it and invited people to get in touch if it was something that they wanted to be involved in. And Flori got in touch and she shared that she had a particular issue that she's been dealing with or needs some help and some support, making a decision about what she's going to do, and a decision that's going to actually take her life in a very, very different direction from the one that it's currently in. She also wants some help around listening more to her intuition and following that guidance. So I'm going to let her tell her side of the problem, and then we will offer her some guidance, offer her some support. And our intention is that we're going to support her in coming to some form of definitive decision, or just giving her some food for thought so that she can have a clearer understanding about what direction she goes in now. So I would like to introduce Flori, and thank you so much for being part of our show.
Hello. Hello.
Ciao, everybody. Well, it's an honor for me to participate in this kind of lives. It has been a little overwhelming, like not knowing if this is the right time. Then I had the signals, but as an Eckhart Tolle student, I have to go very deep to understand if the intuition is like more in the mental part, like, identifying the thought, or even it's just something that I truly feel. So sometimes we just get trapped by, confusing an intuition with a thought. So I really would like to understand a little bit, how do I know if what I feel comes from, it's a feeling or it is something that I have identified with?
Fantastic. I love that you asked this question so much. And one of the reasons that I love it so much is because in the work that I do with my clients, it's one of the very, very first things that I encourage them to cultivate and to foster and to develop is a relationship with something that some people call the unconscious mind, which is the guiding. It's like having an inner compass. It's the part of us that controls, 95 to 97% of our human functioning, but it's such a powerful force in our life. And I guess the one thing that I would want to encourage you to do is to learn how to tap in to that communication with your unconscious mind, because that for me is where your intuition comes from. So learning and building a relationship with your unconscious mind and learning how to understand when you are being given very, very clear and direct guidance from that. It's like being connected with the source of life when you're able to connect and communicate with your unconscious mind. It's such an incredibly powerful experience and such an incredibly powerful tool to be able to use. And in order to do that, one of the things that I would recommend, well, first of all, I guess I want to know, do you Do you meditate? Do you spend time getting really quiet and still with yourself? Is that something that you generally do?
Yes, well, honestly, for me, meditation, it's not a doing anymore. It was until a certain point. It's just like, being aware of what I'm doing in the moment, and it's more like a constant meditation. Sometimes I'm oscillating and I'm aware of that. So there is something that sees that. So when I think that I've lost it, I didn't basically, but I just keep on doing that. But I do have my moments of keep
Okay.
still, but I really don't feel like knowing if it's truly my intuition, my feminine power, or if it comes from a thought. And then I had this opportunity to think, if I stay in Italy, how do I feel at the thought of if I stay in Italy? If I go at the other side and I say I will go away and I will go on an island, I will live very close to the sea. Well, then I feel that joy, and I guess that is the intuition. But it's always something coming there. Like, how do you know that? It's because I feel joy. I know that I feel joy, but it's always the mind that wants to be sure of, to have everything in control.
That feeling, that the joy that you feel, do you feel that that's enough that's helping you to make that decision, or is there something more that you need?
I don't know.
Okay.
So can I offer just ask a quick question there, Flori, just to hopefully give us a little bit of insight. Is there a particular decision? Maybe you had mentioned it and I missed it. Is there a particular decision that you're ambivalent about? Is there a particular scenario that this really applies to?
Yes, it is. It's the situation in Italy, the energy that is here. I'm not Italian, I'm Romanian. I was born in Romania, Transylvania. Then 18 years ago, I came to Italy. So I had to build another kind of, a different culture, different ideas. And now I am at that point when I feel like there is a cycle, and I just feel like wanting to change this, to go into another place, to have a different energy, to create more, to give more value. So I had the opportunity. I met a man who likes to, just go traveling in the world. So I know that there is a reason why we meet people. So then it was like being aligned with my desire of, going away and starting a new life, but I was alone. So then meeting this man and being, sure of, I mean, I really trust him. It's an aware man. So I was like, there is something that didn't want to go, and maybe that is the attachment to what I have built here. So then I have been, I had to learn how to stay in the unknown, because I have no idea of what it will going on. I have a shop which it doesn't work because I work with tourists, and in Italy the situation is really low for in each area everywhere. I mean, it's dense. So I was like, I have no friends here anymore. The shop doesn't go. I will close it. I need to be aware that I have to end this mission is over. So this is when I was like, all the puzzle was putting all together fine. But then it was like, the thought of going away, because you don't know where you are going. I mean, you know where the direction is, but you don't know how you will get there. You don't have the opportunities to go there financially. You know that you will get there, but you don't know how. So it wasn't a comfortable place at the beginning, but then I got used with, just trusting
Mhm.
that.
Have there been times in the past when you've made a really good decision and it's been the right decision?
Yes, when I came to Italy.
Okay. And do you remember what it felt like when you made that decision? Do you remember perhaps where in your body you felt? And I know that this may have been a really long time ago, but perhaps you can, in your mind, just go back to that time when you made that decision and just think about what it felt like when you knew that that was the right decision for you.
Yeah, well, I was 20, and um, it wasn't a good situation in Romania at that time. It was
Mhm.
after the revolution, and it was a little, so I really wanted to change my life. So when I was thinking of changing my life, it was also an unknown place,
Sure.
but I wasn't aware at that time. And it felt like, yeah, I'm going, my friends are going there, they are working, they are making good money, because my mind was to help my family. So I felt like it's the right thing, but I mean, I wasn't aware. So when you
Mm.
are aware, you can see much more
Different.
scenarios. Yeah.
Yes, very
So I
different.
was very happy to go away, because I felt like this, but I don't quite remember where.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And have there been other times that you've made really good decisions and things have worked out really well? Maybe more recently.
Well, I've did a lot of mistakes, basically.
Okay. But I'm sure, I mean, we all have. But for example, your decision to join us on this live show, that was a good decision, right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. It was. I
So,
felt. I felt it right away.
so how did you know that it was the right decision?
I don't know. I just knew it.
Okay. So
Yeah, I
that's your
felt it. I
intuition.
felt
That's
it
your
like,
intuition.
yeah.
That feeling, that certainty inside is your intuition telling you that you're making the right decision. And the truth is that there will always be uncertainty. And another truth is that we will always, I mean, there's no such thing as a mistake. There's only a learning opportunity. So if you make the decision to leave Italy and go and live on this island and follow that passion, that beat of your heart that seems to be pulling you and drawing you to make that decision, if you do that, and if things don't work out exactly according to plan, there will still be an opportunity to learn and to grow. And the truth is that life is going to be full of uncertainty. And it brings to mind a quote that I recently quoted somewhere else from Tony Robbins, which is that the quality of our lives is dependent on the amount of uncertainty that we can comfortably handle. So stepping into uncertainty is something that, in order to have a high level quality of life, we need to be comfortable and become more comfortable with. So there's always going to be an opportunity for learning and for growing. But I feel like I've taken up enough of the segment on sharing my thoughts and my opinions with you. So I want to hand over to one of the other two and see what they can offer you and see if they can offer some support in moving you forward as well.
Captain Dan.
Thank
I
you.
knew you were going to do that. I just knew it. First of all, Flori, thanks for
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you
very
much,
much.
you all. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
I personally was going to go along the lines of what Queen Io had said, in terms of historically, where have you connected to good decisions in your body? Because that gives you a good marker. There's a modality called human design, which is really cool, because what human design does is it shows us what part of ourselves is most optimal in processing information in our environment, almost channeling our intuition to give us firm answers. So that's one route you could go down. I, for example, am a sacral basis, so I can use my gut to give me very good answers as to direction. But what all of this comes to, and this is the part that I really wanted to come into, is that when we're using our conscious mind to make decisions, we're really only tapping a very small part of our potential. There's so much more available to us. And I love that you were saying that Eckhart Tolle is one of the people that you follow, because what he often does is he invites us to come into the present moment, into the now, in order to find our answers. But the challenge that I've always had with Eki, as I like to call him, when we have tea, we don't really, is that theoretically that's great, but it starts to take on a bit of a poetic element, because, okay, I'm in the present moment, but first of all, how do I get there? And second, what do I do when I'm there? Do I just sit? How do I know? Because actually, when we get to the now, sometimes the noise that we've left outside of the now can come in and disrupt the now. And if I'm going into the now with the express purpose of finding an answer to a question, I can drag that question in with me and actually lose the now. And then it becomes this vicious cycle of actually not knowing what to do. So what I'd invite you to do is to, if you're open to it, close your eyes for a moment. Close your eyes for a moment. And when you think about this question, really tap into the idea that there might be something within you that knows the answer already, and that this answer might be represented in some way, whether in a token or a symbol, some kind of visual that you can see in your mind's eye, some way of discerning whether or not this is the path for you. And as you connect with that idea, you may find that an image starts to come to mind, and that image gives you a certainty within yourself that you know the answer to that question. You may notice that something appears in your mind's eye now. Without judgment, without filter, without prejudice, open your eyes and perhaps take a moment to let us know if anything came up. Did you see anything?
Yes, it was a kind of a little girl, like me, very little.
Mm-hmm. And when you think about sorry?
This is what I saw. I saw me, but very little, like the inner child.
Okay. Well, when you think about you as a little girl, now coming back out there now and stepping into fully accessing everything that's around you, what sort of feelings and emotions do you associate with being a little girl?
Compassion.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
And so when you connect that idea with this question that you've been presented with, do you find any connection between the two? Is there any common ground between the two experiences? How you feel as a little girl and this question that's in front of you, this choice?
I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm not sure. There are very different kind of emotions, and I don't know which one to pick because it's a lot in there.
So what about if instead of trying to pick one, you allowed yourself to be guided on which one was right for you? And I don't know if you get the subtle difference between the two. Instead of picking one, allow one to present itself to you.
Yeah, compassion.
Compassion?
Compassion part, yes.
Okay. So when you think about compassion against the backdrop of your choice, do you see compassion anywhere in that picture?
Everywhere, yes.
Everywhere. So when you're looking at the options that are in front of you, does one feel more deeply connected to the idea of compassion?
Yes, I guess so. Yes, it's the part where I see myself in front of the sea, and that is what gives me something very joyful in my heart as a feeling,
So what I'm inviting you to kind of do this series of questions I've asked you is get beyond using just this and accessing more of yourself here. Because your heart, your soul, your inner self, whatever knows the answer to the question. The universal laws of polarity. There's no question without an answer because nothing's made in half, so everything is whole. So the second that you found yourself having this question, in your world was the answer. And when we try and use this, we're using a very small part of our function. But when we step outside of this and start asking our body, like Io said, start asking our inner mind by perhaps allowing imagery to come up and be revealed to us, and then start looking at how the emotional information we get from all of those places connects to either one of the options, we can sometimes be guided to an answer rather than trying to find it. Because when we're trying to think about it, we're using our head, which is great, but has its limits. But when we allow ourselves to be guided, we can access more of ourselves and find ourselves guided towards the answer. So think less, feel more. And when those feelings come up, think less about those feelings and just listen to them. And you can use the process of saying, what feelings or emotions do I associate with the correct decision? And then start to connect to the two ideas and see, where am I finding a deeper relationship? And this isn't something that's going to happen overnight, I don't think, for many people. because we have to build that relationship with our inner self, build that relationship with our inner mind, build our relationship with this way of thinking, because it's not how we traditionally do things. But if you start doing it with smaller things, like going into a restaurant, which isn't happening now, but or picking food on your online home delivery, like there'll be times when you know with greater certainty the relationship between yourself and emotions, or yourself and a decision. And you can start to build that relationship so that when you do go into the silence and ask yourself to be guided through imagery, through sounds, through any other direction, and then start connecting that in your outer world, you can start to navigate not just this choice, but other choices in the future with a lot more flow. And I would invite you to, I think it's jovianarchive.com. They've got the human design chart you can get. And there's a number of different ways. Some people are self-directed, so that when they talk about things, they get clarity. Some people like me have the truth in the moment through their gut. Some people are emotional, so they need to sort of let their body tell them over time. But there's a great way as well to sort of connect with yourself and start to connect with the answer to your questions. But wrapping everything up and then passing the mic over to Nathan, I would say use less of your head and more of your heart. And by that, I mean, listen and build up a relationship of understanding what those voices that you're listening to have to say. Because the answer is there. It's not something that you have to dig and find. It's just there. Generally speaking, we're the ones standing between us and the answer because it is just there.
Thank you.
Excellent. Hey, Dan, thank you very much. And real quick, for anyone who may be watching, you are watching the Trifecta of Transformation show, where 3 coaches come together to share insights, awareness, encouragement. And in this case, we are in section 2. That is our hot seat section. And we've got Flori here, and Flori has a wonderful question that is really around how can I tell the difference between what is in my intuitive knowing versus what is, just thoughts or head garbage or whatever it is, right? How can I tell the difference? And so that is basically what we've been trying to do. Ayo, who was the first coach that did present a thought, she probably will come around here and do stuff because she was the first to go. Ayo, could you, in a single sentence, tell us what the core of your idea to Flori was?
Core of my idea to Flori was about connecting with where in her body she feels certainty in decisions that she's made in the past, and hopefully being able to replicate that feeling of certainty, the physiological response that her intuition and her unconscious mind is presenting to her when she has a certainty about something, to knowing with certainty about whether or not the decision that she's about to make is the right one for her. And really also understanding that the connection and learning how to develop a relationship with her unconscious mind is going to support her in being able to make this decision and also make decisions in the future as well. And I think that's something that Dan really touched on beautifully as well. So thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, and you've got the right answers, when the answers they give are also the ones I took note of. I'm going to share a couple of things here with you, Flori. But to that point of that Ayo just mentioned, it's Ayo is a hypnotherapist, I believe. Also.
Trainer of hypnotherapy.
Trainer, okay. And also in hypnotherapy is one of the things we call the learning set, and which is one of the things that we all have done many things in our lives, right? So if we can reconnect back to a time when something like that in an NLP, right? So that's why she was asking you, when was the time? You may not have the answer live with us, but I wanted you to go back and think, when was the last time I wasn't sure, but I had this feeling and I made the decision and it was just right. And try to connect with that and say, how does this feel compared to that? Because now you have a template to work with, right? And that is a very powerful tool. The time that this guy asked me out and I said, yeah, I'm not sure about him. And he turned out he was a serial killer, right? Right? And he was like, oh, wow, I escaped a bullet, So that was your intuition guiding you. So you want to, when did I actually hit the jackpot? Even when I was unsure. And with Dan, it was a really powerful exercise there. And I think Dan very clearly highlights to you the power of your mind and the power of your intuition. We need to be able to ask ourselves the right questions and do it often to get answers. That answer was right there. That girl was right there. I mean, when was the last time you thought of your little version of you? It's been a while probably, or maybe you do every day, but our intuition is right there waiting to be called upon, right? And so what I'd encourage you to do is go back and, seek and say, why did that image of all the images come to me, right? And you mentioned, I think, compassion. Was it compassion? You mentioned compassion. And, ask yourself, what does that have to do with this new scenario? But my question, as far as that is concerned, the girl would be, Flori, if this little girl had a message for you, she had showed up to tell you something, what do you think she would say to you?
Wow, I don't know. I guess as how I am today, I can see courage, to have courage, maybe. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe she will tell me to have courage.
Right. So the part of that too is this: we must learn to trust our intuition, because right now you don't trust it, right? But you notice the answers are there. You just answered that. You came up with the image of the girl. None of us suggested that to you, right? So the answers are there. The more you trust it, the more it will come. Okay. So and Ayo asked you about the feeling, and you weren't able to connect to that well. So here's something that I thought about that actually I have on my phone. There's an app called ESP Trainer. ESP Trainer. It was used in the 80s with these guys who were doing secret research for the government and all of that stuff. The guy who did that actually created this app. It's super simple, but it's meant to train your intuition. So you have 4 boxes and it'll say pick one, right? And you're like, the blue one. And is it the right one? And you'll start to feel what it feels like to make the right guess. Because originally it's almost like you're guessing, and then you start noticing that it starts falling within a pattern. And the key is to recognize that feeling, which was what I was talking about. So if you download that app and just play with it, that's almost like an intuitive exercise that you can build. And there's empirical evidence that you can strengthen the voice, because that way, there are people who are intuitive. When they hear it, they know. Right now, that voice is a whisper for you and you're not too sure. So you want to strengthen them. And that's one thing. Now, the other thing, the first thing I actually wrote on my sheet regarding to you was removing the blocks. Okay. So let us say if the intuition was actually loud, but you've got all other noise around you, you're still not going to hear it clearly. And this is because as an adult, you've experienced so many things in your life. There's probably a time you did something and you failed, right? You said you've screwed up many times, right? And right. And so, what tends to happen is most of our lives we live from memory. So you say, oh gosh, if I do this, I'll that. So you have all of this noise that is keeping you from hearing. They say emotion and feeling is a language of the soul. But these noise, which is maybe from past trauma, from past experience, all sorts of stuff, where you grew up, childhood experiences, super traumatic. You don't want to mess up what a good thing, right? So you want to ask yourself, what is this noise that I'm hearing? Are you going to fail? Are you going to embarrass somebody? Are you going to look stupid? What is it that you're hearing? When you remove the noise, you will hear clearer. Okay. So I think it was Rumi. Rumi said here, for instance, he said, your task is not to seek love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it.
Wow, that's powerful.
Right. So especially if there's a romantic interest or someone that you try to like, oh, what if he does this? What if he does that? So you want to ask yourself, but that's really a voice of maybe someone who betrayed you in the past, someone who treated you wrong. What baggage do I have in this particular situation that I need to take care of? When you take care of the baggage, then you can see the light a lot better. Does that make sense? So
does.
we're not only strengthening our intuition, but we're also cleaning the window. That way, when you look outside, you're not seeing the dirt on the window. You're actually seeing the sunshine outside. Okay. Now, then the other thing I'd say is look for connections. Look for connections. A lot of times when spirit tries to speak with you, it will try to leave signs, breadcrumbs along the way, and many connections. I would dare say you got to Italy through some interesting ways. Things maybe happened. You got lucky. Things, people helped you. Amazing, like, oh my God, right? So I grew up in Africa, and I will tell you, it was a miracle. It's a miracle that I'm here, right? So our desire creates paths that we don't know, right? And so, but don't close your eyes to those things, right? If someone's offering you something that, once in a lifetime opportunity, is it a chance that it's happening, right? And then somebody says, oh, hey, I'll give you a place to stay, or this, that, and the other. You'll be like, oh. So start looking for the connections the spirit is showing you. It'll come in terms of favor in one direction. And then the other direction, it might come in terms of disfavor. People that you were cool with start treating you like, they don't want to talk to you anymore. That's probably a sign that your time there is over, right?
Yeah,
When you start
I
feeling
had many. I had many. You just mentioned one of them.
so when you start feeling disconnected, it means that that door is getting ready to shut. So what happens when we ignore the voice of spirit and intuition is that we get hit in the head with a sledgehammer, and you don't want that to happen. Okay. But at the same time, don't let fear lead you. Don't stay in Italy because of fear. If it is fear, if it's, oh my God, what if? That's not your intuition. Your intuition speaks to you in a slightly different way, right? So just clarify what you're feeling, know what you're feeling, and I think when you gain clarity, combining all these methods that we've spoken about with Ayo, with connecting to where you felt it or a past experience, with Dan, I would definitely investigate that girl again, right? What you did mention it, right? Be strong, be courageous, which means if you're going to do this thing, do it, right? And then you want to ask yourself, what happened in the past? And then what signs am I seeing around me that would indicate that it's probably time? And then, you also have the fact that we are evolving, right? You mentioned serving more. I will tell you, service is one of the highest things you can do with your life on this planet. And there is a very good chance it is a call of spirit. Okay. And just open yourself up for more signs, and you will gain more signs and you'll find the answer. But just from what I've seen and what I've heard, I think it may be a higher, knowing that is coming. And so, pardon me, let me highlight some comments here. So Dana said powerful exercise. I think that was for Dan's exercise, powerful exercise, connecting to courage through a younger inner self. Super powerful. I love that. I think initially when you told her to close her eyes, she was like, what the hell, but it is super, super powerful. And Tamara said, wow, that's cool. What's the name of the application? The application is called ESP Trainer. And the goal is to train us and our abilities. Okay. So, Flori, do you have
with the app? Maybe you can share the link under the Facebook.
Yes, I will share the comment afterwards. Yes, excellent.
Yeah.
Flori, do you have any further questions around this topic or something else?
Well, it's all very clear. It's like a layer, that went off because because Ayo, she was very, very, straight right to the point when she told me to go, where do I feel this joy? And it's like all here. So yes, it was very powerful. That exercise got me this is all very, very deep, and I loved that. I felt like I received everything and I have listened with every cell of my body. So this was really powerful. Thank you so much. I feel it. I feel it. I really feel it. So thank you very, very much. It
Oh,
was an honor to be here with you.
it's our honor. Absolutely. You know, when Ayo asked you about coming on the live, the other question I had was, do you hop on anybody's live just randomly normally?
Sorry, can you
You,
repeat the
you,
question?
you just hop on a live randomly, or do you accept invitation to go on any live?
No, I was like, I saw one of your lives, I guess, last week. It was Daniel speaking, and I just went there and I started watch, and it was very a beautiful frequency. It was a very beautiful energy. So I just I comment. I felt like doing this. I was like, I would like to be in a show like that. You know, to learn more, to remember more, and to stay there. You know,
Right.
so this is why I failed to write. I didn't wait for an answer, but it came and it was very beautiful. So thank you very much. Much love to all of you guys. Thank you.
Yay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I
And
do the
remember,
celebration dance.
you said it felt right. Like it felt like this. I felt like this. I felt like this, right? So you didn't stop and think and overanalyze. It felt right. And so when you just go with that flow and do what is right, it's not a coincidence you saw it when you saw it. It's not a coincidence you saw Ayo's follow-up request for a guest, right? And so all of these things, when you start looking at those connections, like what are the chances, right? What are the chances? And those are those little signals that we sometimes overlook. Okay. And you will feel fear. Fear is normal. Fear is just attached to uncertainty, and it shows that you have some growing to do. So you can just get excited about that. And if you ever need a shout out or you need support, you know that you have us. And you say, "Oh, I'm freaking out again." But come on, we will cheer you on. But you know, fear is not doesn't mean the world's going to end. As a matter of fact, you know, I think from one of my posts on Instagram today just means you'll be okay. You'll be okay regardless, right? You've made it this far, so we're looking forward to seeing your progress and however it is you're going to advance. So
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
absolute pleasure. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being willing to step into this space and share your energy with us. I feel very full having given and having received your energy, and I'm very, very grateful to you for being here with us. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for being our first guest. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. We love you and your vision, and all of you. Thank you. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, all right. So
Yeah.
therein lies the first hot seat, and we're gonna move. So let's see, what time have we got here? So we're actually did spend a fair amount of time in that particular episode, guys. You want to end it here, or do you want to advance to the next segment? Because we didn't know exactly how time was going to go, but we're 49 minutes into this one. What do you guys think?
You're the boss today, so you tell us what you want to do. Do you? Even though
I personally,
even though I have my boss.
Right. That's what she always said. She was like, "You're the boss, but look at my giant mug."
Thank you for permission today.
I personally think just in order to enable the viewers to, you know, watch the full thing, and based on time, that we defer that episode or that topic to the next episode. What do you think, Dan?
I think that makes sense. There's some
Excellent.
juicy goodness, and
Yeah.
Flori given us a high note to
Exactly what I was thinking. We end on a high note with Flori. So, you know, whoever it is that was on here, folks who commented, we want to thank you for being on. Join us again for the Trifecta of Transformation show every Saturday at 3:30 Central. And we also want to thank Queen Ayo here from the UK and in the UK doing this really late at night. It's probably about what, 10:30 p.m. right now?
Yeah, just after.
Although she's like all chipper and stuff. So we want to thank
I'm just full of energy from this whole thing. So it's
and Dan from wonderful Cabo. So envious, goodness. But If any one of you have a parting thought for us, you're welcome to share. Otherwise, we'll whatever we want to do.
Mine, go then, Dan.
Oh no, ladies first.
Okay.
Especially royal ones.
Just that mastery, personal mastery begins in mastery of your mind. So the more that you can tap into the power of the mind, the more that you can connect with the infinite intelligence that's within all of us, the more mastery you're going to have over your entire life. And I'm going to keep it short, sweet, just like me. Hand over to Dan.
Hello.
Hello.
The answer is there. The answer is always there. The manifestation, the opportunity is always there. And normally it's us in the way. So take a step back and allow it rather than trying to push and force it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And I'm going to end on this note. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. Call your mom. However, she doesn't have to be the person who birthed you to be a mother. So think of somebody who has played the role of a mother, in some cases even better than your maternal parent. Call her, let her know how much she means to you. And happy Mother's Day to everybody. That's it.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again next week. Thank you, Flori.
See you
Thank
later, everyone.
Bye.
Bye
Thank you
for
very much.
now.
All right, bye-bye.